I can't believe we are at the end of the series of Christ Revealed, episode number 9. You know, Patrick, you talked about saving some of the most compelling, the most life-changing interviews to the very last episode. So tell us, what can we expect from this?
Well, you can expect a lot. There is a dense amount of very powerful content in our episode 9 here. We start out with Dr. Eli Shukron, and Eli is the person who discovered the Pool of Siloam. The Pool of Siloam is something very significant biblically because this is one of the great miracles that's best known that Christ performed, where we had a blind man who he had come across when he was by the temple in Jerusalem, and the blind man asked, why am I like this? Am I being punished? And Christ had an amazing message for him, and he asked the blind man to go down to the Pool of Siloam after rubbing mud on his eyes and said, wash this mud off and you will see. And sure enough, the blind man saw after this. Now, many of the skeptics said, well, it's never really been found, this Pool of Siloam. We think it's sort of a myth. It doesn't really exist. And there was some speculation about where it might exist. But Eli discovered the actual Pool of Siloam not that long ago, so it's a very recent discovery. And not only do we discuss this, but we actually take a walk and go right into the Pool of Siloam. So it's a very moving thing. It's something that has biblical significance. It's very inspiring. It also adds to the evidence that we've been covering all through the Christ Revealed series. Then we talk to Father Kelly. Now, I don't know if Father Kelly drinks a lot of coffee or where he gets his energy from, but I'll tell you one thing, his energy is contagious. He is so excited about what he's doing. And what is he doing? There is a first century synagogue unearthed right next to the Sea of Galilee, which it is certain that Christ would have taught there. Secondly, with Father Kelly, in the middle of this dig where I am with him, they found what is considered maybe the most important archaeological find in the past century, which is the Magdala stone, or they pronounce it out there Magdala stone, which is a 3D model basically of the Second Temple. So this is something that is significant from a historical standpoint and an archaeological standpoint. So it's pretty exciting to have Father Kelly take us on a walk, show us what was found, talk about the significance of this, and knowing that you're standing in a place that Christ taught from. It's pretty significant, so you're going to get a lot out of that. I think it will give chills up your spine. And then lastly, we have this thing that we talked about called the Jesus boat, and it is an endearing story. It's a sweetheart story about these two brothers had their prayers answered with this miraculous discovery of a boat that was found on the Sea of Galilee that is from the first century, the time of Jesus. And I don't want to give too much of the story away, but when you listen to these two brothers who just have such love and admiration for each other talk about what it meant to discover this and how it was an answer to their prayers, it's something that's really uplifting. So this is an amazing episode, and I look forward to going with you on this journey. Eli, I'm very excited to be standing here with you. We're in a pretty remarkable place. So tell us where we are.
We are in the city of David, and we're in the eastern slope of the city of David. And this is where Jerusalem started. Everything started here. Everything began here in the city of David, where we are standing now.
And what was the approximate date that this was all built?
We go back to the Middle Bronze period. We talk about the time, if connected to the Bible, it's a time Melchizedek, Abraham, this is the time before 3,800 years ago.
So this was almost 4,000 years ago that this area came to life under David?
By the finding, we found some finding earlier than the Middle Bronze period, in time of Melchizedek or time of Abraham. But when we talk about Jerusalem as a city, we're talking about Middle Bronze period, we're talking about the time of Abraham, the time of Melchizedek.
And so you have been an archaeologist for how many years now?
I'm an archaeologist I finished my education in the Hebrew University, but in the city of David I started the director of the excavation from 1995.
Wow.
till 2012. Then I retired for doing excavation here in this place.
So when you were studying in school and decided you wanted to become an archaeologist, did you ever think you'd get a project like this? I mean, this is one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world.
Yeah, you're right. No, I never thought about that I'm going to do excavation in the city of David. I knew when I was in the university, I knew that it's a very, very important site. They already Kathleen Kenyon, McAllister, Bliss and Dickey, and Igal Shiloh, professor from the Hebrew University, already did excavation in the city of David. I never thought that I'm coming here to this area to do excavation, but you know, in the life, you're not planning what you're going to do in the future. And this is what's happened. You know, they asked me if I want to do to be here to do some excavation here in some area, some site, because in that time, 1995, the government of Israel say, okay, let's celebrate 3,000 years of King David. And this is what's happened. To do that celebration in the city of David, we must do some small excavation here in some area in the city of David to make it more available for the people to come to see, to be, and to do that ceremony here. And that ceremony was in 1995 here in the city of David, and because of that I came to the city of David to do that small excavation in some site. From that moment, I started in the city of David, I finished in 2012.
Wow, wow. So so this area would be considered Mount Zion, where we are.
Yeah, look, if you follow the Bible, and the first time that Zion mentioned in the Bible, I think talking about King David taking the citadel of stronghold of Zion from the Jebusite king and changed the name to the city of David.
Right.
For example, in 1 King in chapter 8 verse 1, talking about King Solomon taking the Holy Ark of the Covenant from the city of David to the temple that he built on Mount Moriah from city of David, that is Zion. So when we're talking about the city of David, we talk about Zion, we are in Zion and we are in the city of David.
And the Ark of the Covenant was here.
This is what the Bible says.
Yes.
The Bible said that they bring the Ark of the Covenant from Givat Yarim all the way to the city of David, and they put him in the city of David. It's a fantastic story about what's happened here in that time, because when King David brought the Holy Ark of the Covenant to the city of David, he started to dancing like all the other people. And there's another very, very interesting, a very nice story with his wife, Michael. She told him, why are you dancing like all the other people? You know, he said, I'm dancing for the Lord, you know.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. So we are just kind of in our position. I mean, I see a big part of the dig right behind you, which is very interesting. What is this area here?
This area, it's called Area G. They founded before, I think, more than 100 years ago. And they did here a different kind of excavation. And what we've seen the city wall of Jerusalem from the end of the Second Temple period. Started in the Maccabean period. They say that the end when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. And other findings from the First Temple period, from the 8th century, some say 9th century, 10th century. We go back with some finding here that some scholars say that going to the Late Bronze period. But this is different kind of finding that they found here in this area. It's very, very interesting to understand the field. This is what we are doing when we're doing excavation, to understand what's happened here in the ancient time.
Now, when I came in, it seemed like across the street, I think they took off a parking lot and dug down.
Yeah.
What is over there?
I started to do the excavation there in 2003.
Uh-huh.
And what they're doing, you know, they want to build a parking lot. So before you're doing, you're building that parking lot, the modern parking lot, you must do excavation.
Right.
And to find what we have there by finding, and from that point you continue have a permission, without the permission to continue doing wherever in that field. And what we have here there's different kind of neighborhood of Jerusalem from different period, from the First Temple period through the Hellenistic period to the first century, to the Roman, to the Byzantines, and to the Abbasic period, 9th century AD. So we have a neighborhood, and you must understand, Jerusalem is not just temple. Jerusalem is a place where the people was living.
Yes.
And there's a neighborhood, so the people living in Jerusalem from the time of, for example, Melchizedek through the modern time, today.
Yes.
So this is what I'm seeing in my excavation. We found there some neighborhood, from the different kind of period that was there in the western slope of the city of David.
So this is the crazy thing about Jerusalem, right? Somebody wants to put up a parking lot, and next thing you know, they're on an ancient archaeological site.
It's everything in Jerusalem is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everything. The atmosphere is crazy here.
Yeah.
And you know, everything started when David chose that place as a capital of the kingdom of Israel.
Yeah.
This one, but from the other end, what we're talking about? We're talking about the place where the people of Israel built the house of God, the temple
Yes.
to God on Mount Moriah. And this makes this city as the capital of the world.
Well, this is an amazing site because you're saying it's on the slope of Mount Zion, but if you look over my shoulder, you'll see like the Mount of Olives, you have the Kidron Valley underneath. So from standing in one place, you see a lot of history all around you,
You
right?
see a lot of history, and like you say, Mount of Olive. You see in the Kidron Valley, and you see all the cemetery here. But that cemetery didn't build today. It's built 1,000 years before, because we have here found here some tomb from the Middle Bronze period, some tomb from the Late Bronze period, talking about 1800 BC or 1500 BC. They found here from the First Temple period the tomb. So this was the cemetery of Jerusalem. It's close to the city, but outside of the city.
And so, yeah, so that's the oldest Jewish cemetery in the world, correct?
This is the oldest cemetery Jewish in the world. Yeah,
Almost
you're correct.
4,000 years old.
I don't know. I don't know if Melchizedek. I don't know. He wasn't a Jewish, but when you talk about the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of David, and we are here in Jerusalem, this is one of the earlier cemetery for the Jewish people in this land.
So for all the years that you worked in this excavation, what was the biggest highlight for you?
Look, there's different highlights here because different findings that connected to different period. And for example, to find the pool of Siloam, or the pool of Shiloh, and he will say Shiloh, to find it, you know. Think about that before, like in the 5th century AD, there's a queen in the name of Dokia. She built a church. She saw the end of the Hezekiah tunnel, they built the church there. She said, this is where was the miracle with the blind man. Period. That's it. From that moment till 2004, all the people, all the Christian people, other people that want to see the pool of Siloam going there. Today it's close to the end of the Hezekiah tunnel. Above it there's a mosque that built on the top of that church. But from that moment, everyone point there. They're going there, taking the water because they say, okay, this is the water touching the stone. This is where was the miracle, you know. But in 2004, I found the real place because it's a little bit, let's say, southeast of where all the people going. And when you see in this area, you see, oh, it makes sense. Why all the people more than 1,500 years going to the wrong place?
Right.
This is the truth. This is the real place here.
Wow.
Where we found in 2004. What I'm saying it's amazing, you know, that you can give to the people the truth about the Bible, where all that happened, you know, where all that connected. It's mean the people going to the pool of Siloam, where I found that. Today, they can sit there, they can read from the Bible. This is the connection, the pool with the temple. Yeah. That pool, for example, found in 2004, and it's a fantastic story. And they get the permission to put the pipe in the place. And I was there because I was walking around the spring. I'm going there, and then I'm hearing that the bulldozer scratching the stone. I didn't saw the stone because the finger of the bulldozer, it's 1 feet. So everything covered with dirt. No one saw the stone. It's mean maybe it was happened even 1 to 3 days before that the bulldozer scratching the stone. But no one paid attention about that there's something below it.
Right.
And I said to myself, oh, what's going on? Maybe there's something there. So I told them to stop. And I said, okay, let's clean the dirt. And I told to the guy that is in charge of that work, and he told, okay, I will send my workers. Let's start to take the dirt, and it took let's say 3 inches of dirt. He told me, oh, there's nothing there, but we talk about 1 feet of dirt above it.
Right.
And say it must be something there. And I took all the stuff. I started to take off the dirt, and then I found 3 stairs. That's it. boom, I found it.
Wow.
In that moment, I say, this is it. I think that this is the Pool of Siloam. Let's continue the excavation there. You know, then all the people coming, where the money came from. Okay, all that over, and we continue doing the excavation. And then I found all the stairs of the pool, because what it means, that pool, the people walking inside to the water. And then you found the stairs of the pool. You found the ceramic and the coins, and that tell you when they built that pool.
Right.
And boom, 1st century BC, 1st century AD. This is the pool. This is the Pool of Siloam. So, how we can connect the Pool of Siloam with the Bibles? Because what I didn't say I'm going to found the Pool of Siloam, because it's mentioned in the Bible. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Pool of Siloam. I found the Pool of Siloam because I found it.
Yeah.
Then I go to check what the Bible talks about. And then John chapter 9, talking about the blind man washing his face in the Pool of Siloam.
Right.
It's amazing.
It is. Well, here's what's really amazing, and it goes to the craziness of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Is that, the pool is cited in the Bible, so it's talked about, so people know about it.
Yes.
And people have such a thirst to have an experience with it, and they think the location is somewhere else, and they're almost they go there to basically try to see if they can connect with that part of history in the pool where the miracle was performed.
Yes, of course, to connect the experience that was there.
And of course, in the general area, they're right, but then you just happen to be doing work somewhere else, and suddenly it appears.
And this is what I'm saying. This is suggesting God. It's mean when God wants us to found the Pool of Siloam, we found it. This is what's happened. We found it in 2004, not 1900 no. This is the time that we need to find it, and we found it, and this is amazing that that you cannot connect the Bible, the story, with this place. It's amazing.
And we're looking at the history and then the evidence. So there's a historical record in the Bible of this place, and there is only a guess as to where it might be, but it was never found.
Yeah.
But as you continue to dig, it starts to validate what's in the Bible, saying that what's written here is accurate. And it's true.
This is it. So it's meant that when we talk about the Pool of Siloam, this is the real Pool of Siloam that's mentioned in the Bible. Right. And this is amazing to do that connection.
Yeah. So even thousands of years later, here we are still finding things that as you find more, it just brings more to life what was written thousands of years ago.
I just want to tell you something. We cannot prove everything by doing excavation.
Right.
For example, I cannot prove that blind man washed his face.
Right.
But I can prove the place.
Right.
The details, the small detail that mentioned in the Bible, it's real or not? It's real.
Yes.
The name of the pool mentioned in the Bible. This is real Pool of Siloam. It's fantastic. For example, and then what I start to do, the excavation on the road, and to connect the pool with the Western Wall, with the temple, because this is what the people want, the experience. And what I started to do, I found that road that going to the temple.
Wow.
And why that road? It's important because a lot of people was walking there in that time. All the rabbi, Jesus disappears. All the people was walking, and I believe that the people knew the Pool of Siloam because they came to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not a big city; it's a small city. Yeah. You know everything what's happening in Jerusalem. So this from one hand, but in the other hand, when Jesus talking with the blind man and told him, "Go to the Pool of Siloam," the blind man was walking to the Pool of Siloam. Which way? Why? It was flying to the Pool of Siloam? No, it was walking on the street. So where is that street? That street.
Wow,
it's fascinating. So we're talking about the street that connected the pool. We're talking about the street that connected to the temple. We're talking about the pool that was the miracle was there. John chapter 9. We talk about the blind man walking back to the temple. So all that, this is the connection. And this is amazing because the finding, the small detail that mentioned that say the Pool of Siloam, the street, give you alive the Bible.
And see, and that's where it really comes to life, right?
Yeah.
Because as we sit here, you say, well, here's the pool here. This is where the blind man had his miracle with Jesus.
Yeah.
But then you're saying, well, the temple is sort of like, as I experience it here, it's across the street over there,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
But now you excavate and find, here's the road. This is the way they would have walked. This is the connection between the temple and the pool, and it brings more of the actual history to light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the pool mentioned also in the Jewish rabbinic sources. So we can the celebration in Tabernacle time, the feast of the water that was they took in the water from the pool of Solomon and put it on the altar before the winter. We're talking about this time, you know. We were in this time here. We're close to the Tabernacle time. So this is the experience that the people can do when they are coming here.
Yeah, and it's different. I mean, I've read about these things before, but it's very different when you stand amongst it, when you're here with it.
This is like you say, you make the Bible alive and you give to the people to understand what the Bible talk about. Okay, he put the mud on his eyes, he told him to go to the pool of Solomon. Why, jumping? No, he would walk here. He was in the pool of Solomon, he was washing his face, he's walking to the temple. You can see it, he's here, it's around us. The Rabbani going to the temple, the pilgrimage people going to the temple, they're going from the pool to the temple. This is part of the life of the people. For us, it's something very, very fascinating. For them, in that time, it's simple. This is what they're doing. This is what they used to do. Going to the pool, purify themselves, ritual bath, clean themselves, going to the temple, sitting here, talking there, groups from the Galilee, groups from Alexandria. You know, this is the life. And this is what's happened in Jerusalem in these days.
Yes.
In these days, because we are very close to our holidays.
There's something else you want to talk about that's very interesting relative to the high priest. What's
that?
Yeah.
Look, we're talking about the high priest, we're talking about the temple, we talk about Mount Moriah. What is the most important place in the temple? The most important place in the temple is the Holy of the Holy.
Yes.
Today, what left from the Holy of the Holy? Nothing.
Right.
Everything destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. In my excavation close to the Western Wall, in the foundation of the Western Wall, in the tunnels there, I found very, very, very important finding. I found the golden bell.
What, the golden?
Golden bell.
Bell?
Yeah, bell.
Okay.
And the golden bell, it looks like a ball, like a ball. But it's very, very interesting because when I touch it, I didn't understand that this is a bell. When I shake it, I heard the sound.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and when I heard the sound, I understand, I say golden bell. Everyone say, the high priest golden bell. Because when you go to Exodus 28, they describe the dress of the high priest. When they describe the dress of the high priest, talking about the golden bell in the bottom of his garment, and 72 golden bell, but he's talking about golden bell and pomegranate. Golden bell and pomegranate, they say a golden bell inside, in the pomegranate. It's very interesting to talk about, but what we have in the temple? We have the Holy of the Holy. Who's going inside to the Holy of the Holy?
I was going to say only the high priest.
High priest.
Yes.
Once a year. We're very close to this day. In Hebrew we say Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur, yeah.
Just in this day, when you go into the Holy of the Holy, what we have in the Holy of the Holy? We have the gate to the heaven.
Yes.
And we have the Spirit of God there, because today, in that time, we don't have the Holy Ark of the Covenant there, because somewhere in the end of the first temple period, it disappeared.
Yes.
So the Holy of the Holy in that time, it's empty. But the Spirit of God is there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know from Josephus Flavius about the general Pompeius, the Roman general, that came directly inside to the Holy of the Holy because he thought that going to find the treasure, it's nothing.
Right.
And God, what's the Jewish people? They're crazy people. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
But you don't understand that for us, the Spirit of God, to get to the heaven, that's what we need. What's happened? The high priest was walking inside to the Holy of the Holy with that in golden bell inside. And getting the Spirit of God and get to the heaven. So if we want to say today what's finding that we know that was in the Holy of the Holy, this is the golden bell that I found in my excavation. So it's amazing to understand that this was there in the Holy of the Holy before 2,000 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. So that's the Holy of the Holies is obviously
it's
the
amazing.
most sacred
It's
place.
amazing, and to hold some finding that was there.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's really amazing. You hear people talk about coming here as it's spiritually it's transforming, because it lives in your mind, and you have a certain abstract understanding. But when you show up, and I'm just looking behind you and seeing the ruins of the city of David here, and then knowing that I could turn around and say, well, there's the Mount of Olives, there's where the Ascension took place. and then knowing these varying pieces all come together and you're walking around in it. I don't know how to communicate that it's different to be here than it is to learn about it, but it is different.
This is what I'm saying all the time. When you're sitting in Washington, D.C., or you're sitting in Utah or in Texas and you're reading the Bible, it's a Bible, and you don't understand what it's look like. You heard about the Jordan River, you heard about Jerusalem, you heard about... It's not just to read what the Bible says, it's the feeling. Even what you think about the Jordan River, it's not the same, like you see in reality, but it's still, I'm here, I'm part of it. And this is the amazing, when you hear, when you see it.
You're 100% right. I was in the Jordan River yesterday, so you're 100% right.
You understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean.
It's not the Mississippi, it's not the Nile.
No.
No way. But the Bible talk about.
Yes.
But Joshua crossed the Jordan River. But Jesus baptized in the Jordan River. But it's amazing.
It's amazing.
This is the connection with the Bible and the finding and the field.
Well, Eli, thank you very much. You've lived a very inspired life, and sharing this, really kind of, I hope, brings it to life so people will know and experience what you're talking about now. And the work you've done has really made a difference to a lot of people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So what is this place?
Oh, we're on the road that going all the way to the temple. This road built in the beginning of the 1st century, but the people was walk from here to the temple. This is the way to go to the Pool of Siloam from the temple. You can see the stairs going all the way up to the temple. You can see on the side, you can see an opening for a shop. It's been street, shop, people walking, going to the temple, purify themselves. This was the main street in Jerusalem in that time, in the 1st century.
So literally when you walk these steps, you're walking the steps where Jesus might have walked 2,000 years ago.
This is the step that the people was walking to the pool or to the temple before 2,000 years ago. This is original. All what you see in here, it's original. And I found it just like that. All was covered with the destruction of Jerusalem by the Roman. A lot of stone that cover all this area from when the Roman destroyed Jerusalem, destroyed this place, and this how we found this area.
So Eli, we're actually standing in the Pool of Siloam here.
Yeah, we're in the Pool of Siloam. You can see that pool built as a stairs. Why they built as stairs? Because the people walking in the water.
So this famous story from the Bible, this is where Jesus healed the blind man.
Yeah, we talk about New Testament, John chapter 9. And Jesus put a mud on the eyes of the blind man and sent him to the Pool of Siloam to wash his face. And we are in the Pool of Siloam. This is the place. This is the real one.
Yeah.
We talk about some other tradition place, but this is the real one because this is the true place because we found that. Right. We found the ceramic, we found the coins, we found all the evidence that tell us this is from the 1st century BC, 1st century AD. This is where the Jewish people came to purify themselves before they go into the temple, and the blind man was sending to the Pool of Siloam where we are now.
It's quite a large area.
No, it's a pool, it's 1 acre. 1 acre, what are we talking about? About pool, huge pool. Why they built it that way? Because we talk about the people in the 1st century. How many people came to Jerusalem? By the source, some 100,000, 200,000. A lot of people came to Jerusalem. They need to worship in God in the temple. They need to purify themselves. Once a lot of people here in this place, in the Pool of Siloam, they purify themselves before they go into the temple.
So you excavated this?
I am not just excavated, I also found it by my hand. So in 2004 I found it, and then I started to do the director all the excavation here, all the way inside to the street, all the way to the Robinson Arch, all the way to the temple.
So how does it feel that you see thousands and thousands of people coming through here and having the experience that you gave them through your work?
This is great. This is what I'm saying all the time. When you're doing something and the people enjoying your work, coming, understanding, talking, visiting, seeing, sitting. This is fantastic. This is what I want. This is what I want because this is what should be.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing some excavation and no one coming to visit you, that excavation, so what is the point? It's good for the scholars, but I want the people to touch. I want the people to feel what it's mean, the Bible in 3D.
Well, I'm hoping that for all the people around the world who are watching this, they now get to experience your work too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. So tell me about this room.
Well, everybody looks at the picture
Yes.
and they're drawn by it and they miss the floor. So, Pat, we're standing on the first century floor where Jesus would have walked. And we needed a spot to put a chapel where all of the Christians could pray. And this would be, in principle, an ecumenical chapel. We call it the Encounter Chapel because the evangelicals have a problem with the word ecumenical, which the main churches do not have.
Right.
And if you look at this, it's an unusual chapel. Have you ever seen a chapel designed like this?
No. So what
But
is
if you're a Jewish person and you come in here on Shabbat, and we have many secular Jews coming in here, they look at this and they say, why did you guys, you Christians, build a chapel like a synagogue?
Huh.
You know, we just came from the synagogue, so it's just like what we just saw.
Right.
With the 2 rows of seating, a stone, the pillars,
Yes.
and the colors. And we have redone the colors, tested them in a lab, analyzed them, and reproduced them. So with this construct, with this architecture, we are back in the 1st century.
Wow.
We're actually standing on real 1st century, but we have the environment of the 1st century synagogue. And we have to now ask, well, why do we do that? Well, our synagogue, imagine a priest saying our synagogue, has 2 generations, so more or less 0 to 30,
Yeah.
and then from Pentecost until just prior to temple destruction. So let's focus, well, the 1st generation, Jesus would have walked there, would have been in the synagogue.
Right.
I say he would have been here more often because he was with the people where they were working.
Right.
But in the 2nd generation after Pentecost, who's using the synagogue? Jewish people.
Yes.
But among them, like you have Peter and John are going to the temple for afternoon prayer in the Acts of the Apostles. They were Jewish people. They didn't stop going to the synagogue on Shabbat.
Right.
So in this synagogue, we would have a Jewish community, and among them a number of Jesus' disciples. A small number, a large number, we don't know how many. And they would be in the synagogue with the Jewish people. And at that time, Jesus' disciples were not divided into Presbyterian, Methodist, Evangelical, Anglican, Episcopalian, Seventh-day Adventist, the whole 9 yards, nor were we alienated from the Jewish people. So our synagogue actually is like an icon of our commonality, what we share together. So we have a 1st century archaeology of commonality. And here we have a 21st century architecture of communion with each other, walking together, encountering each other, meeting each other, recognizing each other.
And isn't that unique in the world? I mean, I've never seen this in any other part of the world.
It's beautiful to be at an original biblical site.
Yes.
Where we captured that 1st century moment, and it's also translated into the 21st century when we so need today to meet each other again and learn about each other.
Well, the common roots and common heritage seems to be something you want to promote and exhibit as compared to try to hide and show your distinctions.
Yes, I think even just think of your own children. Each one of them will want to present their individuality. And it's very important for the young person to discover this. But your family would never work if you and Laurie don't bring out the fact that you're a family.
Yeah.
That even if these 3 kids can be at loggerheads on occasion, that we're one family.
Yeah.
And we're going on a vacation or we're doing something together, we're a family. And we need this in humanity today. We don't need to suppress the individuality or the particular of each community, but we also need to recognize how much we share in common.
Yeah.
This picture is fascinating from an awful lot of aspects. I always ask people, how big is Jesus' big toe? It's huge. And you didn't notice this when you came in, Pat.
No.
And look at the toenails broken, the dirt under the toenails, the realism, the depth. And this lady is an elderly lady from Chile, and she's very ill. And the story of that woman who was bleeding for 12 years and touches the wings of Jesus' garment. And here Jesus presented with the prayer shawl of the Jewish people in this image. Now, an interesting trivia, if you will, which is really not a trivia, about this, all of the art in Duc and Altum, is that this was done by a Chilean who was Protestant.
Right.
And upstairs, the icons were done by a Chilean who is Orthodox of Greek and Russian backgrounds. And the main decoration was done by Maria Jesus Fernandez, a Catholic. And so without us intending this or looking for this, Providence brought the great streams of Christianity together to decorate Duc and Altum, at the same time confirming what we're discovering in the very stones of Magdala, that we belong together, that here we were following Jesus together, and we discovered this also within our Jewish roots.
Wow.
Part of the infrastructure of the first century port. You can see all the port that extends here behind this wall that we built.
Wow.
Exact same pavement. And if we think, with whom did Jesus work?
Right.
Were they electricians or truck drivers? What type of profession were they?
Right.
They were fishermen.
Yes.
So where do you meet fishermen?
At the port.
You don't swim out to see them in the boat,
No,
right? You
right.
wait and you drink a wine or a glass of beer, and then they're in at the port, right?
Right, right.
So Jesus, after walking 2 days from Nazareth, and he's going to go on to Capernaum and Bethsaida on the north of the lake. We're here at the widest point of the west of the lake. And he meets a port, a town, a fish processing town. Migdal Nun in Hebrew means fish tower.
Right.
And the Greek name Tarichea means tossing, like tossing salad, tossing flour, tossing hay in the farm. And so they were tossing the fish. And Strabo, the Greek historian, would have used the word tarichea, the Greek word for the tossing, when he tells us that fish from Magdala was sold in Rome. So they were exporting fish. That means that, Patrick, if you were in Los Angeles and you had the extreme privilege of eating fresh Irish salmon.
Right.
Not the Alaska stuff.
Right.
So can you imagine fish from Magdala 2,000 years ago being shipped from here to Caesarea Maritima and on to Rome?
Wow.
Now think of all the fishermen on the lake. They're going to be focused on the export trade. When we sold lambs and cattle at home on the farm in Ireland, we were very happy. My dad was happy when he got an extra penny in the pound if it was going to England or export to Europe, and rather than the home market. So these fishermen, I'm sure, were focused on Magdala. And we have a lot of infrastructure here probably related to the fishing industry, fish processing industry. So Jesus was with the fishermen. This was the town that he met. So we have a very unique find here as another part of this first century town. You know, Magdala is the only complete first century town discovered in Israel, excavated in the Holy Land.
And we're quite a ways from the synagogue that was unearthed, so it flows all the way down to here where it's been excavated.
Yes.
So this is like a whole town
Exactly.
that existed here.
Right. It's a big town. Flavius Josephus spoke to about 40,000 people. Critics say that he exaggerated. Modern archaeological estimates say Magdala had 3,000 to 4,000 people, which would still make it a nice little town at that time. And it was obviously significant that it merited to be the scene of a battle with the Romans. And so there's actually Jewish blood probably spilt on this floor also, on this pavement 2,000 years ago in September 67 when the Romans crushed the Jewish uprising here. So then Jesus gets here in 2 days walking, and he has another day left to walk, so why not get in a boat?
Right.
The fishermen say, you're a nice guy, we like the way you talk, I'd like to show you my family, come on the boat with us. And we have so many boat stories crossing to the other side in the gospel.
Yes.
So it's not difficult for us to imagine how these encounters could have happened here.
Yeah. Now,
So that's the first thing about this room here, about this chapel.
when Jesus came back from Nazareth, and he would get together with the fishermen here.
Pat, let me show you something outside this window. This window over here, you'll see the meaning of this floor. Patrick, a first century port.
Oh.
And Jesus is with fishermen, and this is on his path from Nazareth to Capernaum, Bethsaida. So many stories going in the boat to the other side. Could it happen here? All the fishermen are concentrating on Magdala for the export trade fish to Rome.
Wow.
Isn't this amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Jesus here with the fishermen. They're happy campers. They just sold fish for an extra penny in the pound. And they're whistling on the boat. They've invited him to go back with them, and he's talking kingdom in the boat.
Wow.
This is, you can get goosebumps here.
So you found 4 of these, and what are they?
Exactly. These are ritual purification baths. The word in Hebrew is mikvah for one. Mikvaot is the plural. So we have 4, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one over there. And they are considered by the experts here to be the best built that have been so far discovered, the best conserved,
Wow.
and also the best water supply, which comes from the arch, and the water is coming from Mount Arbel.
Ah, okay.
And the next set of mikvaot of this category, which have been so far discovered on the planet, are in Europe in the Middle Ages, in Germany and France, in Speyer and Grenoble, where they had great Jewish communities in the Middle Ages.
And these are dated for what?
They're also first century.
They're also first century. Wow.
We actually did a test this summer. We had the latest archaeological test was trying to assess if there was something prior to the first century inhabitation of this space, and it seems that there was not. There will also be some things here of second century, so it's possible that there was some further usage of the space, which you can see that were treasured, and this
Sure.
the structure is so well built.
Right.
And so it's and with the mosaic floor behind us, you know, this was a very, very special location. There's also reports that there was a priestly family living in Magdala, which would have service at the temple. And just like Zechariah in Ein Karem, where we remember him today, the father of John the Baptist, he went to the temple to do his service. So there were priest families around the country that went to the temple for a week or whatever of service, and one of those families lived in Magdala.
Oh, wow.
And this is the understanding. So this could help explain the intense ritual consciousness of the Magdala people as evidenced in the synagogue, in the mikvaot that we find here.
Nice.
So the significance of these mikvaot is also very powerful for us. If we look at the theology of baptism in the New Testament, St. Paul is talking about us dying in Christ and coming to new life in Christ. And this is a totally Jewish practical theology of the mikveh, because you became Jewish
Right.
not by instruction,
Right.
not by circumcision. That didn't cut it. You needed to go and do the mikveh and go into the water and come out a new man with a new name, and all your past was erased.
Wow.
And we think of our terminology in the New Testament, a new man and the old man that's dead
Yes.
with Christ on the cross.
Yeah.
So we didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
We're here. We have a crossroads here of Jewish and Christian history.
Well, that's amazing.
Yes.
So let's go look at the synagogue.
Let's do that. Pat, look at this, all the pottery here that the rain has washed up. Look at this.
This is actual first century pottery.
First century pottery. Look at this here. I already know I am not an expert at all about these lines. This is first century pottery for sure.
Wow.
And this is just washed by the rain. So this is a town that was lived in, and people broke their pottery jars. I mean, they fell,
Right.
you know, and they had an accident, and that wasn't nice, but their pottery shards remain here.
Wow.
It's amazing. So, hey Pat, why don't you just go down those steps? You're not afraid of scorpions and snakes, are you?
I don't prefer them, but what's down here? Oh, wow. So what am I seeing down here? It seems like it's kind of like a cavern that bends around a corner.
Yeah, there are more steps there still.
Yes.
They're filled up meanwhile with some runoff sediments from the rain, the winter rains. Basically, we have a shaft for the extraction of water to replenish the pools that you're going to see when you come outside here, Pat.
Oh, wow.
So you survived that one, Pat?
Yes.
So bring out your bucket of water with you and pour it in here.
And that's how they did it.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so the standing theory here is that this was for fish processing industry, totally related to Magdala. From here, this is one unit.
Right.
Look at how well built this is compared to the
Yes.
other surface. So there was a lot of traffic here. So the idea is that here we have 6 units from here down to the plastic,
Uh-huh.
and we have other units on the site. So one standing explanation is this is for the fish processing industry, where they were tossing the fish, salting the fish for export.
Oh, wow.
There are some other archaeologists who dispute this now, so we're going to have some fun for a while until the dust settles on the arguments.
Yeah, that's great. So we're surrounded by the synagogue here, and looks like approximately the center. So is this the place where the stone was found?
Exactly where you see it, and,
Yeah.
and this is a replica. And here we have the menorah and the golden altar underneath it, even though it wouldn't be placed like that in the temple. The entrance of the temple with the columns and the arch.
All right.
And this is the crown jewel of all the discovery.
Yeah.
And the crown is the synagogue of this
Right.
first century town.
Right.
And it's that because of the mosaics we see here, the rosette mosaic and the unending pattern mosaic. And then we have all the fresco samples even on this pillar here. All the pillars were fresco plastered and frescoed. And then we have really the most beautiful first century synagogue of all those discovered. And besides that, it's the first synagogue where Jesus would have preached.
I was going to say, there's almost no doubt that Jesus preached here.
Pat, you'd have to be an academic acrobat to bring about arguments to prove that Jesus was not in this synagogue.
Right.
He would walk 2 days from Nazareth on his way to Bethsaida, another day's walking in Capernaum. And this was the point of contact.
He had
with
to
the
pass
lake.
this area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's one very, very strong reason in order to get there. Secondly, there's a port here, and to go from here by boat across is much more attractive than hiking all around the lake.
Right.
Especially if his mama was with him or some older people were with him.
And there's always talk of him crossing to the other side.
Absolutely.
So what are the chances that this synagogue existed when Jesus was
Well,
here
it did.
historically?
From the coin there that we just saw from the year 29, this coin was found inside the year 29.
Oh, wow.
It was found inside. But we have about 2,000 coins here in the discovery.
Wow.
The pottery is absolutely first century pottery. There's also another argument that Jesus was here. I think that's very powerful, is that this is a fish processing town. And we know that Jesus wasn't with truck drivers, he was with fishermen.
Yeah.
And we have a fish processing town, both its Greek and its Hebrew and Aramaic names derived from the fish processing industry, just like Detroit is called Motown.
Right.
This was called Fish Tower, and it was called Tossing Town, related to the tossing of the fish for export, salting them for export to Rome through
Right.
the port of Caesarea Maritima.
Right.
So sociologically and geographically, we're in a place that's absolutely fits the picture. And Jesus meshed and integrated with the fisher community. So, and this is their key town for export. So here we're sitting in an extraordinary treasure for the Jewish people. A first century, the most beautiful first century synagogue. The first synagogue ever excavated where Jesus would have preached, and also after Pentecost where disciples would have gathered on Shabbat with the Jewish community, also being Jews themselves.
Right.
So here we have a crossroads of Jewish and Christian history. Here we can look each other in the eye and say, we have been broken apart since, but we belong here. Here are our roots. Here we have so much we share in common. And this is a great call that we need for our time.
תספרו לו איפה גדלתם.
אנחנו נולדנו בקיבוץ גנוסר, נולדנו, אבא שלנו דייג, ובעצם נולדנו לתוך הכנרת. אנחנו כל הזמן שיחקנו בכנרת, זה היה מגרש המשחקים שלנו. אבא היה דייג, ואנחנו 20 שנה הוא היה דייג, אנחנו בנים של דייגים.
מה חלמתם שהייתם ילדים?
חלמנו, באמת חלמנו, שיום אחד הכנרת תרד, ואנחנו נמצא את כל מה שנפל לדייגים במשך אלפי שנים ולסוחרים. הים ירד, המים זה, ואנחנו נמצא. ואני שואל את מוישלה, מה חלמת היום? הוא אומר, חלמתי בלילה שנמצא סירה, ובצד של סירה עתיקה, בצד יהיה כתוב למי היא שייכת, ישו או משהו כזה, סתם כזה.
כשאתם גדלתם, הפסדתם את החלום הזה? או עדיין...
מויש.
החלום שלנו תמיד היה בכנרת. צריכים להבין שחוץ מהכנרת לא היה לנו שום מקום משחקים אחר. שהיינו נכנסים בבוקר לכנרת ויוצאים אחרי הצהריים, כבר לא היינו רואים כלום, מרוב שעות שהיינו בתוך הים. עסקנו הרבה מאוד בנושא של דייג, ידענו בדיוק מתי הדגים באים להטלה, ואז יש לנו רשת קטנה בתור ילדים, והיינו מצליחים לתפוס ככה את הדגים, היינו יוצאים עם שרשרת גדולה עם דגים, וזה היה הגבריות שלנו, מי שתפס הכי הרבה.
כשים ירד, אתם ידעתם, אתם הלכתם בכוונה, נכון? למצוא את משהו?
הרבה שנים הכנרת לא ירדה, ובשנים האחרונות לצערנו הרב היא לא עולה, אבל כשהיא ירדה, אז בכל מיני מקומות בכנרת יש מעיינות. ובמעיין הזה, באחד המעיינות שהיו נוסעים עם המכוניות, אחת המכוניות שקעה, ויום אחד בגשם הראשון, כמו בסיפורים, בגלל הגשם החול קצת ירד, וגילינו כמה מטבעות, ואז ידענו שהשטח הזה במקום ששנים אנחנו הולכים עליו, ושהוא בכלל חוף רחצה, אבל בזכות זה שהמסעית שם שקעה כל כך עמוק, והעלתה מתוך האדמה משהו מאוד מאוד מיוחד. וכן, התחלנו לחפש משהו שכל השנים התפללנו אליו, מה שיובי סיפר.
אנחנו, ברגע שירדה הכנרת בפעם הראשונה, לא הפסקנו לחפש. זה החלום שלנו. גם בלילה, שהיה ליל ירח, הלכנו וחיפשנו, כי כל פעם היא יורדת כמה סנטימטר, ומתגלה דברים אי אפשר לתאר. ואחרי שמצאנו את המטבעות, אמרנו, הנה, המקום הזה, משהו קרה, כי יש מטבעות. ביום אחד, באחד החיפושים שלנו, אנחנו רואים מסמר רומי עתיק, ואחרי 20 סנטימטר עוד מסמר ועוד מסמר. קצת ניקינו, ראינו את העץ, אמרנו מצאנו סירה, קפצנו לשמיים, התחלנו לרקוד ולהשתגע מרוב שמחה. After 2 minutes, the rain coming, very strong rain, stopped quickly and rainbow go outside. Double rainbow, where we are standing with all the sea. And we are feeling she belonged from somebody. He give it to us chance to look at her, touch her, something like this.
מה המשמעות?
לנו זה לא, הרגשנו שכאילו זה סימן שהסירה הזאת היא של מישהו והוא נתן לנו רשות להתחיל לראות אותה, לגעת בה, להביא אותה, לא יודע מה.
בתוך הכנרת, במים מתוקים, עץ לא נשאר יותר משנה, שנתיים. כשמצאנו את הסירה, מצאנו עץ ששמר על עצמו 2000 שנה. והבאנו את חוקר הכנרת, את מנדל נון, שהוא היה דייג יחד עם אבא שלנו, אבל הוא בעין גב, ואבא שלנו בגינוסר, וכל חיינו חלמנו על יום אחד שנמצא משהו, ומנדל נון יבוא לראות מה מצאנו. ומה שמיוחד בבן אדם הבוגר הזה, הוא עמד בסירה ואמר לנו במפורש שהוא מעולם לא מצא עץ בכנרת, והוא לא יודע מה הוא רואה.
Before, I don't believe the God. After I find it, I believe the God, and because I believe it, day after day something good start and all the time. כל הזמן קוראים לי דברים טובים, ברגע שפתחתי פתח קטן לאמונה הזאת.
איך זה שינה את החיים? האמא שלנו תמיד רצתה שיהיו המון סירות בכנרת. מהבית שלה, שהיום אני גר בו, והאבא שלנו היה דייג הרבה מאוד שנים, וכל החלומות שלהם אנחנו מצליחים להגשים אותם. יש המון סירות בכנרת, וממשיכים לתפוס פה דגים, והחלום של ההורים, אין ילד שלא רוצה להגשים את החלום של ההורים שלו.
יש משהו משמעותי שיש 12 סוגים של עץ בסירה? אתם חושבים?
כן.
כן, מה?
הסירה הייתה הרבה שנים על המים, כי היא הייתה סירה מאוד חשובה, היא הייתה גדולה, יכלה להעביר 20 אנשים כמו אוטובוס, ותפסה דגים. זאת אומרת, הייתה מאוד חשובה, וכל הזמן השתמשו בה. כל פעם שנרכב עץ, הוא נשבר מסערה, הם תקנו אותו, הם לקחו עצים מהזה, בגלל זה 12 סוגי עצים.
העץ הוא כמו בן אדם. הוא נולד מגרעין קטן, גדל, נותן פירות ונעלם. ופה העץ הזה נשאר לנו 2000 שנה, שמר על עצמו. וזה מה שכל כך מיוחד, סירה שכנראה לא היה דייג שלא היה עליה. זו הייתה סירת עבודה שנתנה הרבה פרנסה, ואנשים שמרו עליה בגלל הפרנסה שהיא נתנה.
אנחנו קוראים לה סירת השלום, כי אנחנו מרגישים שיש בה, כן, סירת שלום, peace boat. We are calling, because she changed all the area from something good. אנחנו עושים פה סימפוזיונים ערבים ויהודים ביחד בגלל שהיא פה. המון אנשים מתפרנסים מהסירה הזאת. כל הסירות האלה שזה חצי טבריה, יש לה עבודה. ויש כאן הרגשה מאוד טובה. אנשים כל הזמן מחויכים וטוב להם ונהדר להם בגללה. היא שינתה פה את הכל.
היא נמצאת בקיבוץ, היא לא שייכת לקיבוץ, היא שייכת לכל העולם.
אנחנו רוצים שכולם יבואו, ומי שיבוא הנה, הוא לא ימשיך לחיות עד